Hello and welcome to day 6 of making sourdough bread from start to finish. We're still working on our starter, and this is our white flour starter that we're going to be doing first. We're going to feed it on day 6. I'm afraid I can't get it real close. This is how it's looking. It's good, Tommy. Anyway, this is how it's looking. I've got liquid on top and flour on the bottom.
Smelling right?
Smelling pretty good, yeah. It's working some. It's not working near as good as the wheat, but of course, remember we put a little yeast in our wheat also. So anyway, I hope it's ready to make bread come Sunday evening. If you've missed yesterday, you've missed that we're going to be making up our sourdough bread on our live show Sunday evening at 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern. So that's our plan, is to take maybe the first part of the show and making up our bread. And so I want you to be feeding it today on day 6, which right now that's Saturday, but if you watch this later, it may be a different day. And then feed your starter first thing in the morning, and then tomorrow evening we'll be making up our dough to make bread. All right, here's my 1/4 cup of water.
We brought water from home, as you can see in the big picture right there. That's a well water that we brought on our camping trip. We're in our camper doing this.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to say.
We're hooked up to water, but it's chlorinated. So we talked about that on yesterday's live show. So we filled up a thing with our well water from AldermanFarms brought with us, not just for this, but to drink too.
All right, this is our 1/4 cup of flour in there, and we're going to add our 1/4 cup of sugar and then stir it in.
1/4 cup, 1/8 cup.
1/8 cup of sugar. This is a 1/4 cup, and it's got a little line in there for my 1/8. So 1/8 cup of sugar.
Obviously, since we're live, we're not able to respond to...
Since we're not live, you mean?
Yeah, did I say since we're live?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Obviously, since we're not live, we're not able to respond to comments and questions live, but that doesn't mean we can't respond. So just be sure in the comment section below this video to ask any questions that you haven't had answered so far. And we'll do our best to respond to every single comment.
Okay, now we're going to put our white bread to the side. Now here is our einkorn flour, which is a whole wheat flour. Oh,
You want to hold it up, and I bet I can zoom in.
Yeah, I'm going to, let me do that after I get this. Switch the best side. And you can see the action on this is just a little bit better.
Down a little. Okay.
You can see the bubbles, the color. You may just be able to see the color change. That's the bubbles. It's working. So I've always had, I think whole wheat does better than the white as far as getting ready. Now you see, I knew I was going to have this problem because, I could barely make, I could force it. But anyway.
I got a pocket knife.
I'm going to use this end of it. And I'm going to stir that back in. Somebody had asked, and I guess we've got the recipe posted on the bottom of yesterday's show, but someone else had asked, I don't know if it was during the show or not, how much starter are we going to need when we make our bread? We're going to need a cup of starter.
And we'll put the recipe will also be in the description of this video once it's live.
Okay.
It's a recipe for making 3 loaves of bread.
We're going to add our 1/4 cup of water. And this one, I can tell by the smell, it's ready. It's much more
Yeasty?
soured than this one. And I think it has to do with that little bit of yeast. It got it going quicker, and I think it's the flour. And like I told y'all yesterday, I'm using very cheap flour that I get for making bread in bulk. And I really should have used a better flour, because I think if you're using gold medal, Pillsbury, a better flour, I think you're probably having better results than I am with this flour. I'm not real pleased with how sour this is. So
For those of you who are tuning in for the first time and you haven't seen the first 5 days, go back and watch, I believe, day 2. Well, you need to go back and watch them all.
3. I think it was 3. Anyway, let me tell you, a fourth of a cup of flour, and then I'm going to do an eighth of a cup of sugar, just the same as the other days.
You need to watch day 2 or day 3 to determine why she added yeast to this one. And we'll just leave you hanging with that. We're not going to explain it. There's a reason why.
You know, and I think I said before in one of the videos that I thought, you know, that maybe we shouldn't do making the sourdough starter start to finish, eighth of a cup of sugar. But I'm so glad, because I thought, you know, it's the same thing day after day. You feed the starter, you feed the starter, you feed the starter. But it has been really neat because of the questions and everything that's come in. I feel like, now I've had questions, of course, that I couldn't answer, that I didn't know the answers to, but then there's other people on that could answer the questions or that had a better idea. But it's just been really neat because, you know, any questions that you've had, you could gain more of an understanding, you know, about the sourdough and everything in the process. So I think it's been really good, because I remember when I first was starting, you know, I could call Aunt Dossie and ask her, but, you know, there's just so many variables and you just don't quite get it or understand. So I'm glad we're able to do it together. And in the future, I'll be doing it with other people that aren't going to be live, though. But they'll still be able to make comments. So.
Yeah,
and we want you to.
That's the cool thing about YouTube, is these videos are evergreen, you know, so unless something happens to the internet or YouTube goes away, 10 years from now, people will be learning how to make sourdough starter right along with us at AldermanFarms.
And they'll be teaching me some new things, I'm sure, by then.
What are you doing right now?
I'm cleaning the top of the jar, because what this is oh, and you know, Tommy, look at this. It must have been wet. Look what I have.
Yeah. Do you have another filter?
I don't. I thought about that and I didn't bring any more. But I'm just going to use a different side of it. It's just going to be
cattywampus
on there. Anyway, a coffee filter and just a band from a canning jar. You could use, somebody had a cute little, like a napkin, a little scarf on it, had a little decoration on it, on theirs that they use. You could use a paper towel. Just something that air can flow through, where you can capture the wild yeast, but where the little bugs that can be so irritating can't get to it. So you see, we're going to end up with almost a quart of starter by the time we're done with this, but by tomorrow. But we're going to use a whole cup. So there's 4 cups in a quart, so that'll bring us back down to probably a little over, you know, close to 2 cups maybe we'll have left, or maybe not quite that much. We'll feed it again, and then I may go ahead and do we need to do the series on how to make cinnamon rolls with our starter. And the way I do mine is I freeze my cinnamon rolls before I ever bake them. So anyway, I've been talking to a girl about that today. So anyway, I mentioned I want to do that too, because it's really a neat little way that I do them, so you can have fresh cinnamon rolls anytime you want. So anyway.
Right, and I think also we need to let everybody know that Patti had asked during the live show yesterday what type of bread, what variation of bread would they like her to make in the first part of our first part of our regular live show Sunday. And we didn't get
excuse me, Tommy. We won't be making the different breads Sunday. We'll just be making our dough. It'll be Monday morning.
I'm sorry.
That we'll put it into the loaves of what we're making.
Right. Monday morning, we'll be making the actual bread, and we didn't have an overwhelming response, but it was almost unanimous cinnamon bread. So we're going to be making cinnamon bread.
Well, and we're going to do a loaf bread, and I think we'll do rolls too.
That'll work. Yeah, because you're going to have enough to do that.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure to include cinnamon bread. That's not to be confused with cinnamon rolls. She just mentioned that. That's a whole nother deal we'll cover at another time.
Yep. Anyway, we're going to get back to camping, and y'all go feed your starter, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Bye.